What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Being Beautifully Honest channel and podcast. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do go ahead, hit that subscribe button. And if you are listening to this / watching this on YouTube, go ahead and hit that like button while you are at it, because I really appreciate you being here. And let's get into this podversation. And this story seems to be the one that is for those who create content and speak about things, the gift that keeps on giving. But for others, it's like the story that just will not die. And it is about this Bishop Lamore Whitehead, whose church allegedly was robbed. And that's how he became a viral story because, one, it happened on a live stream. And the story was that allegedly either $400,000 up to $1 million in jewelry was taken from he and his wife by the robbers while they were at the church service. And then he got into it with a few vloggers on social media, and then he was making the rounds doing the interviews. We've discussed this here before, but as I record this episode, like this story yesterday just really took off, and I couldn't believe it. But this happened on Sunday at his church, where he put his hands on someone, and not in the normal way when a lot of people go to church and they come up for prayer and the pastor is laying hands on you while they're praying, and impartation or whatever they're calling it as their reasons for why they're laying hands on someone. No, he laid hands on this woman, okay? Okay. And the story is that, and they're calling him the flashy preacher. I've seen some headlines that called him the bling bishop. And, you know, there's so many names that people has for this guy. And to be honest with you, I somewhat feel sorry for him. I'm not saying that I sympathize with his situation, because it's kind of like, well, you continue to put yourself out here on social media. And I'm not saying that people don't have the right to wear what they want to wear, dress how they want to dress or whatever, but it just comes into question because people always question churches when it comes to finances, especially when it seems like the pastor of the church is living so much far better than those who continuously attend the church. And so that's always been an issue. That's always been an issue for a lot of people. And I've spoken about how he recently filed 2 separate lawsuits, allegedly, for $20 million each against 2 YouTube vloggers, Larryreidlive and officialkingjives. And so he's suing them for defamation and slander, and those were filed allegedly earlier this month. He's accusing them of slandering him and calling him things that he said he is not, which is a scammer and a drug dealer. I don't know where he got that from, because again, like I said before, I've heard a lot of the commentary and I never heard him being called that, but I digress. This story is that the woman was in his church, and I saw a portion of an interview that she did on Larry Reid's channel, and she claimed that she was there because she's doing research for a project or a book that she's writing. I don't know about all of that. That honestly, I don't know. I don't have a dog in the fight, so I don't know if that is true or not. But it is kind of skeptical as to why she was there. But again, it is a church. So honestly, anyone can go into a church and visit if they want to. And she says that she went through the proper protocols to be a visitor in the church. There were ushers at the door. They took her temperature to make sure that she was good to go. And she came in and she was listening. And she said she was called up by the pastor. And that actually does happen. I don't know what his motives were for calling her up there. I don't know what was going on during the service. And there are some claims that there's footage showing actually what happened. So I guess more will come out as we continue to move along. But he was arrested for laying hands on her, as well as she was arrested as well. Now, in the video, he's calling her up saying, do you want to come up here and preach? And you can hear a distant noise of someone. It sounds like they're yelling because, of course, he has a microphone and she doesn't. And I guess she was at the back of the church. in the interview that she was doing with Larry Reid, she claims that she was praying and speaking in her what she calls heavenly language. To me, I mean, honestly, I don't know what led up to it getting to that point, but I don't know. It did sound a little bit unseemly or like she was out of order, in my opinion. Again, I'm sharing my opinion. I was not there. I don't know any of these people, and I don't have a dog in the fight. But did that mean he had the right to lay his hands on her? Well, no, absolutely not. Because again, it also sounded like he was enticing her because he said, "You want to come up here and preach?" Now, we know that that is not something that is normally done. You may call someone up as a pastor of a church to pray for them, but they normally would not call another parishioner up to the front to say, "You want to preach?" So to me, it sounds like he was challenging her, if you get my drift. So he was arrested. There's lots of footage out there that you could pull up and see. And then after he was, I don't know if he had to pay a restitution to be released or bonded out on his own recognizance. After he was released, he had a press conference. And I'm going to play a little clip of something that he said.
Very, very disturbing. Yesterday was very traumatizing to me. Growing up without a father, being killed by the NYPD, beaten, strangled to death by 16 police officers, it brought back the memory. Yesterday I was in my church and we had service, regular service. When we had the service, two young ladies, now that we know, had set up a whole disturbance scene because they're following, and they were sent by some bloggers. Some media bloggers that are trying to use what happened to me, robbery, to get their following up, to get their content up. And when I was in church, I was preaching, and the 69th precinct, they have officers downstairs in front of my church to make sure that we don't get robbed anymore.
All right, I don't know if you could really hear that. It wasn't 100% clear because I wouldn't even call it a press conference, because normally when you are holding a press conference, then you have microphones and a setup, a stand of some sort. And this was just him, I guess, coming out of the police department, and there was a news reporter there. So she was just allowing him to speak into her microphone, but there was a lot of noise in front of the precinct. So you hear a lot of vehicles, automobiles, buses, whatever. So it wasn't very, very clear. But the portion that I played, he said there were two women that were sent to my church, and they were sent by these two vloggers that I'm currently in litigation against. And they were sent to my church to cause a disturbance. I don't believe that is true. And what I am saying is that I don't believe that these vloggers sent anyone to his church to cause a disturbance of any type or of any sort. But have any of those women spoken to any of the vloggers or anything like that? Yeah, I mean, you could see that has happened. But were they going there for their own motives and intentions? I believe that is the case. So I don't think it's fair for him to link these women to the vloggers. I honestly, if I were the vloggers, I would probably kind of, I mean, it's up to them, whatever they want to do. But because they're currently in a litigation situation with this man, even though I highly doubt that he's going to win anything, it's already a headache because you have to get involved with attorneys and pay fees and all of these things when anyone sues you. It doesn't just, you can't just blink and say, oh, it's going to go away because this is bull crap, so I don't have to do anything. No, you have to defend yourself. And that, especially when someone's suing you for that amount of money, you can't just blink and think that it's going to go away. You have to defend yourself, and that means money and time. I would just, for the sake of covering myself, I probably would kind of shy away from dealing with these people if they were in some way. And what I mean by that is, like, if they've had them on their platform on, any occasions or anything like that, I would probably just shy away from that. Again, I'm just being beautifully honest and sharing my opinion because I don't want these vloggers who are being sued in this frivolous lawsuit to have anything that were the decisions of these two women to go to his church for whatever their true intents and purposes were to be somehow negatively affecting them, because it's not fair. You know, if they have their own platforms, like the woman who was grabbed by the bishop said she is doing her own project right now or whatever, they have their own stuff going on. The other one who was getting footage from outside of the church, the video or whatever, I believe she said that she has her own podcast. So these people already have their own motives for what they decided to do. So I don't believe that they sent them there. I don't believe that they sent the women there. But just to cover and protect myself, I would probably just say, you know what, I'm going to pull back on communicating with you, you know, in these ways, because I don't want anyone thinking that I had anything to do with it, period. Because it already, the situation is already messy. This guy has just been on a continual social media / interview run. Every other day, it seems like there's something new with regards to the situation. So again, to me, it's like it's a situation that just will not die. I don't know what's going to come of this. The woman was arrested. She said that she has obtained counsel, and so I'm assuming that means she intends on suing him. But there is a whelp on her neck. He can say, well, I didn't choke her. Well, maybe you didn't choke her, but you put your hands on her and it caused a scratch of some sort. He's claiming that she must have did that to herself. It doesn't look good. You laid your hands on her, and not in a normal way where they're normally like laying the palm of their hand on someone's forehead or on the top of their head, or even like touching their hands as you are praying for them. I've never in my life seen a pastor grab someone in that way. It just looked disturbing. It does not look good. I don't know what's going to come of this situation either, but we will just continue to watch this and see what comes of this entire crazy ordeal and situation. But I don't believe that they had anything to do with these women going there. I believe they had their own purposes, and whether they were justified, whether it wasn't justified, whether they were being messy and now trying to make it look like, oh, it was just, you know, research or whatever, that's on them. Like, I believe that he needs to keep it separate and apart from what is going on with the vloggers. But of course, it would be the convenient thing to do to try to build up his case for what he's suing them for, to make it seem as if, well, they're in cahoots with these vloggers and they had something to do with it. Even though it wasn't necessarily them per se that came there, they had something to do with it. They were behind the motives and intents for these women coming there, and this is how it ended. They didn't have good intentions for why they came to my church, and now this is going on. I just feel that this whole situation is crazy. I can't tell anyone what to do, but in my personal opinion, if it were me, I probably would not be continuing to have these people on my platforms, because even if they didn't have anything to do with it, you never know how someone else, the judge or jury, if that is going to be involved in this case, is going to look at it. And everybody has the right to their own opinion. And especially when it comes to the juries, if it's going to involve a jury, if it's just going to be a trial by judge, if it gets to that point, you don't want to give them anything to hold against you, period. Just continue to not even speak on this guy. Let it be what it is going to be. And if something does happen at his church again in the near future or distant future, you can say, I definitely didn't have anything to do with it. I haven't spoken on this guy. I've never even been in the area where his church is. I don't know anyone near where his church is. I don't have anything to do with it. Anything that comes on him or on his church, it has nothing to do with me. That's how I would be. But again, it's just my personal opinion. I did see a portion of a video on officialkingjives channel where callers were calling in, and there was a woman who said that she felt like the woman who has the podcast was being messy and her intentions for being there were not good. And if she were King Jives, she would, suggest that he like shy away from her. I got where the woman was coming from. And I know a lot of people were saying negative things in the comment section saying, get her out of here. She doesn't know what she's talking about. Girl, bye. I don't believe that woman was there to say that she was on the bishop's side at all. She wasn't. But she was just basically saying, just be careful, because do you really know this person who did what they did to, go to the church and to get the footage? Like, you're already involved in a negative situation with this guy. Don't allow it to get any bigger by being associated with someone who's now, got to this point. And I'm not saying that the woman had any fault behind the bishop putting his hands on the woman at all. That's not what I'm saying. But I believe what the woman was trying to say, the caller was trying to say, is just be careful. Do you really know this person? I don't think that she was saying that this person had any ill intentions for him, but you have to be really careful, especially when somebody is rising. What are their motives for really wanting to be attached to you? And I don't know, that I could go down that road, because I've been there and done that with people in business, and people, a lot of people, they're out for themselves. So they could say that they're down for you and, they're there for you and they just want to see the best for you or whatever. But at the end of the day, when it comes to money, most people are out for themselves. It's not that they're against you, but they are for themselves. So you just really have to be careful about who you associate yourselves with, period. So that's, I believe, all that woman was trying to say when that caller called into his show to just talk about the situation where it involved the person's going to his church. It's like, don't give this guy nothing else to use. And so if it means just kind of being careful and, pressing back from this person who went there to do all of, to get all of what they got, you don't want it to be associated with you or linked to you in any way, shape, or form. I believe that's all the woman was trying to say. But sometimes people get in their emotions and their feelings, and they may not really listen to what someone really, truly, intentionally means. And so they're taking it as a knock, or, you're not listening to the whole thing. But anyway, guys, the bishop laying his hands on this woman and getting arrested, and the woman getting arrested as well. Let me know your thoughts about this crazy situation and what you've heard the pastor bishop saying that he felt like the vloggers sent these women to his church. What are your thoughts about this? Thank you so much for liking and subscribing. And until the next time, this is Beth, and I'm just being beautifully honest.